Hello guys, welcome back to my tutorial. Today we will going to start the first chapter of Introduction to Emerging Technology. In this chapter, we will going to focus on the Internet of Things. In this first part, the first part of the chapter 4, which is about an Internet of Things, we will focus on the overview of IoT or Internet of Things, and also we will going to focus on the features of IoT, and also we will see the definition of the Internet of Things and how different organizations and different researchers or define the Internet of Things. We will see, and also we will focus on some highlight of the Internet of Things, and also we will see advantages of Internet of Things, and finally we will see the disadvantages of the Internet of Things. The first point is about an overview of IoT. Hala waligala IoT lalla qabdi jalqabaa keessatti. So the most important features of IoT includes our IoT or the Internet of Things include some important features. It has some important features. So the most important features are in IoT includes the artificial intelligence, connectivity, sensors, active engagement, and finally, it contains the small devices. This is the most important features that we will see in one particular Internet of the Things. So it is the most important features that we will see discussed in detail or later on. The most important features of the Internet of Things are artificial intelligence, connectivity, sensors, active engagement, and also the small devices are some important features of the IoT. So this is a brief overview of the features has been given below. So artificial intelligence is one of the first most important features of IoT. So IoT essentially makes virtual anything smart, meaning it enhances every aspect of the life with the power of the data collection, with the power of data collection, artificial intelligence, algorithms, and also networks. The most important advantage of this Internet of Things is to collect the data and to analyze the data and finally to take a decision according to the data has been collected from the environment by using the sensors. So the second one is about the connectivity. Connectivity is a new enabling technology for networking, which paves the way our devices to be connected together in order to share the data among themselves in order to make a decision for the end users through the end application interfaces. So haala waligala IoT of Things maalinni import featureota baay'ee barbaachisoo ta'an kan akka artificial intelligence qabu, connectivity qabu, sensoroota qabu, active engagement qabani, small devices qaban. Kajalqaba artificial intelligence dha. Artificial intelligence kun maaliif barbaachisa? Smart environment kan nuti create goonu gochuudha. Akkasumas immoo to create the smart devices which is capable enough to have high power. Meeshaa high power, device high power ta'e akka nuti develop goonuuf kan gargaaru. To collect the data and also to develop artificial intelligence algorithms, to develop algorithms that are capable enough to learn the new features from the data and also for the sake of the network. Camera connectivity. This connectivity is a communication channel which paves the way communications among the IoT devices. Communication channelota wantoonni akka wali communicate godhan akka wali argatan, whether it is Bluetooth or wireless connections or wired. Communication channel illa jechuudha. Channelota communication is sana pave godhu haala mijeessu jechuudha. Just you can say this communication channel. So the other one is about the sensor. So IoT those loses its distinction without sensors. If there is no sensor, there is no Internet of Things. So in order to have the Internet of Things to sense the stimulus from the environment, what we should have to include in IoT infrastructure should have to be sensor. Unless the sensors, nothing can be collected from the environment, whether it is camera or others different number of the sensors. In order to sense, in order to gather the data from the environment, and in order to make the decision according to the data that has been collected from the environment, it is mandatory to have sensors, or it's mandatory to include sensors in IoT devices. Okay. Another one is about active engagement. Active engagement. So this active engagement, much of today's interaction with connected technology happens through passive engagement. So in order to have the active engagement, active participation, active communication among IoT devices, active engagement paradigm should have to be there. Active engagement is very important in order to share the data among the IoT devices, and also based on the data collected from the environment, in order to make the good decisions as soon as the data has been collected. It's very important for the Internet of Things. So sensoronni maalinni wantoota naannoo keenya IoT device on naannoo keenya akka qaamota keenya miiraatti naannoo isaanii kana sensi godhanii weatherii haa ta'u, temperatureota garagaraa haa ta'u, image naannoo haa ta'u, naannoo isaanii sensi gochuudhaan sensoroonni nu barbaachisu jechuudha. Sensoroonni kunniin maal nu barbaachisa? Temperatureota naannoo keenya jiran sensi gochuu danda'anii, speed konkolaattota ta'uu danda'a, sensi gochuu danda'anii, image namoota ta'uu danda'a, sensi gochuu danda'anii, humidity naannoo ta'uu danda'a, sensi gochuu danda'a. There are a different number of the sensors. Akkasumas kan bira active engagement, active communication jechuun inni tokko gaafa dalagaa tokko dalagu tokkos automatically parallelly hojjechuudhaaf active engagement is the another most important features of the IoT devices. Let me see. This is the features of IoT in graphically. This is a highlight of the features of the IoT, which is able to demonstrate it by the using the graph. The first one, endpoint management, is automation, security, integration, active engagement, connectivity, scaling, sensing, analyzing, and artificial intelligence. These are the most fundamental features of IoT, and also later we see each of them in turn. The first one is connectivity. We should have to see the features of IoT in detail. The discussion of these features of the IoT is very important to understand for the students to deal with this artificial intelligence. So the first feature is about the connectivity. Connectivity, as we have said before, is a heart. Do you see? It's a heart and soul of IoT is connectivity. The heart and the soul of IoT is its connectivity. If there is no connection, if there is no communication channel among the Internet of the things, there is no communication. If there is no connectivity, no communication. If no communication, no Internet of Things. To be an Internet of Things, even the smart devices which participate in Internet of Things should have to communicate with each other by using this connectivity channel or communication channel. So connectivity can act as the heart and the soul of IoT. Maalinni inni kun connectivitiin kun akka onnee yookaan akka lubbuu IoT device itti gargaara jechuudha. Connectivitiin kun hin jiru taanaan IoT device onnis uumamaa faayidaan qaban jechuudha. IoT device onni jiran maalinni walii galuu qabanu connectivity sana communication channel sana. Just like a human being, we have a communication channel. Qaanqaan kan communication channel dha jechuudha kan itti walii galu. If we cannot able to understand the language of each others, just it's a meaningless for the human being to communicate. For to have the such like a communication among the Internet of Things, connectivity should have to be there. So connectivity means establishment of the connection, of connection among the different number of the devices or nodes so that they can communicate within their own. In order to communicate the devices within each other, they should have to have connectivity. In IoT, various devices, various number of sensors, various number of computers, and the databases need to interact within each other, and also they need to communicate within each other. So in order to have such a communication among the Internet of the Things, the connectivity or communication channel should have to be exist. A fast and a self-secure connection is must in IoT. Fast, safe, and secure connection is the must for IoT to be any business use. So such like a connectivity devices or connectivity connection channel or communication channels which can pave the way for the end users, for the end devices, such like connectivity devices should have to be exist. Another one is the scaling. So our features of it, the most important features of IoT is scaling. It's scaling. Scaling. Sorry. So another one is about scaling. Just the other feature of the IoT is scaling. Just it means when we need, we can scale up, and also just we can scale it down according to our need. The most important features of the IoT, they are capable enough to be scaling up and scaling down. So IoT systems are designed in such a way that different number of the devices, different number of sensors, and different number of computers are capable enough to be scaling up and scaling to be down. And also they are be elastic enough so that it can handle different number of the workload during peak demand hours. Another one is about the sensing. As we have said you before, these sensors are the most important features of IoT in order to collect the different number of the information or the data from the environment. So sensing means IoT devices gather, they pave the way IoT devices in order to gather the data from their surrounding, from their environment, such as maybe different number of the visual temperatures, light, in order to sense the sound from the environment, in order to sense the accelerations, and also in order to sense the pressure of the environment. And also then, after the data has been collected, and also in order to take the decisions, such like sensing or sensors are play the important or fundamental role in Internet of the Things. So the most fundamental advantage of these sensors can help in order to automate the processes by the gathering the information from the environment in order to take the decisions or actions by using the IoT devices or even by the human being. By the human being, it's important. It's important. So sensaroonni kunniin maaliif nu gargaaranii environmentii irraa daataa jiru naannoo isaaniirraa akka maateriaalii naannoo isaaniirraa odeeffannaa jiru collect gochuudhaaf nu gargaaru jira. Sensingiin kunniin. Sensingiin kunniin maybe sensaroota the sensor. Sensaroonni kunniin maaliif nu gargaaru fakkeenya temperature naannoo ifa naannoo soundii naannoo keenyarra jiru akkasumas accelerationii pressure dhiibbaa naannoo keenya jiru kana decisionii tokko decide gochuudhaan IoT deviceidhaan collected nuuf ta'a jechuudha. So there are a lot number of maalinni sensaroonni kunniin hojiiwwan jiran maal nu godhanii daataa naannoo keessa jiran collect gochuudhaan dalagaa tokko automate nu godhu. Dalagaa sila manually participate ta'anii engage ta'anii dalaguu dandeenyu tokko maal nu godha automate nu gochuudhaan dalagaa sana dalaguu dandeenyu jechuudha. So there are different, for example, if you consider in an automation door, sensors would collect the data through sensors such as radar sensor and optical sensors. Fakkeenyaaf amma door automation yoo fudhattan amma sensoroota garaagaraa qabu. Fakkeenyaaf sensoroota garaagaraa kanneen akka radar sensorii fi optical sensorii. If it detects a person coming in, for example, if those sensors are detect whether the person is coming in, it will open the door automatically. No need to open the door manually. If we apply these concepts of the Internet of Things, if we launch this Internet of Things for our homes, if we want to automate, if we want to have the smart home. So once the sensors are detect whether the man is coming from the outside to our home, it will automatically open the door. Then man is able to enter. Then after the man is in there, then the door is able to be enough to be closed automatically. This is what we call automation. So there are also some sensors used in IoT but there are a different number of the IoT sensors in IoT. For example, if you include consider humidity sensor, temperature sensors in order to sense the temperature of the environment, and the accelerometers, gyroscopy, motion sensors, and image sensors, level sensors, and also proximity sensors. There are different number of sensors which have different number of functions according to the purpose they has been intended for. Another one is about the data analyzing. After the data or the information has been collected from the environment, our IoT devices is capable enough to analyze it. They are capable to process the data. Unless the data collected from the environment is processed or analyzed by the Internet of Things, the decision cannot be taken. So in order to take the proper decision according to the data that has been collected from the environment, the data should have to be analyzed by Internet of the Things. So we know IoT gathers. It gathers the raw information through different number of sensors, as we have said before. But why does IoT need a data? But the great question in this point is why the data is needed to be collected by the IoT. What the role of the data in IoT? You may be asked in such a way why we need the data, or why IoT devices need data. So what does IoT do with all that raw data? What it will do? Why it collects the data from the environment? To do what? What's the reason behind it? So data as such no value of its own. By itself, without analyzing it, having the data is not important. It cannot help us to make a decision. Why? unless that data should have to be analyzed. So data is just become meaningless and useless, and also it's a purposefully unless it is purposefully processed to gain some meaningful or insight from it. So in order to get the insights or some understanding from the data, that data should have to be able to be analyzed. So IoT gathers, sorry. So IoT gathers the data in order to extract some meaningful information from it. So it gathers, it collects the data in order to analyze or in order to extract the hidden knowledge. In order to extract the hidden knowledge from that data, it should have to be analyzed. Unless the data is analyzed, just IoT device cannot be able to understand, extract the meaningful from it. So in order to make a decision, for the objective that it has been launched for, the data is able to be collected from the environment. Then after the data has been collected from the environment, it should have to be processed. Then finally the decision should have to be taken. Kabra data analyzing. Data analyzing kuni information karaa sensorota garaagaraatiin akka waan sila duraa dubbanne karaa sensorota adda addaatiin collected ta'anii gara IoT device keenya dhufan. Garuu gaaffiin guddoon maalinni why does IoT need data? IoT data maaliif barbaada? What does IoT do with that all the raw data? IoT keenya raw data kana maal hojjechuu barbaada? Maaliif barbaada? Data kophaa isaa meaningless. Data qofa qabaanne data sana yoo analyze, data driven decision decide gochuu yoo hin danda'in data qofa qabaachuun keenya gaarii miti jechuudha. So maaliif fayyada? Dataan kun immoo IoT kana maaliif nu gargaara? Data sana process godhee maal nu godhuufi knowledge extract gochuudhaaf, insight jiru extract gochuudhaaf, maaltu akka gaggeeffamaa jiru understand gochuudhaaf data keenya nu barbaachisa jechuudha. So another one is about the artificial intelligence. This artificial intelligence is very important concept in these IoT devices. So since IoT becomes a lot more useful when combining with artificial intelligence. So these IoT devices is able to be combined with the concept of artificial intelligence. For example, if you are out of the groceries, your smart refrigerator can notify you in order to bring some on your way back home. So in order to have such like an information from your refrigerator, okay, in order to get some like notifications from the refrigerators. So having such an artificial intelligence concept is very, very important. So things like these have been made possible by application of the artificial intelligence. So IoT devices collect raw data from the surrounding and can convert them into something useful and insightful. So the IoT devices and the systems are also trained with various number of machine learning models so that they can better understand the changing and their surrounding and perform the results. So artificial intelligence on kunini baay'ee barbaachisaadha jechuudha. Baay'ee barbaachisaadha. Smart enough, intelligent device on jiran to be smart enough gochuudhaaf fakkeenyaaf amma wantoonni firiijii mana keessa fudhatan firiijoonni sunniin fakkeenyaaf meeshaa achi keessatti store godhannee jiru nyaata haa ta'u. Nyaanni sun fakkeenyaaf amma moobilii keenyaan communicate gochuu kan danda'u yoo ta'e refrigeratoroonni sunniin. Meeshaaleen achi keessaa qaamni nyaanni achi keessaa qaamni yoo kan dhumute notify nu godha. Nyaanni akkasii dhumeera. Nyaanni akkasii hobba'eera. Nyaanni akkasii lakkoofsa akkasii qaba. Yookiin nyaanni akkasii expire date dhaqqabu jira. So in order to have a such like an information from the smart devices, artificial intelligence also the fundamental role. The another one is the small devices. Small devices. This is the concept of the small devices. In IoT, it is talks about the microchips, the very small number of the devices which are capable enough to communicate with each others and also capable enough to take decisions based on the data that has been trained, the data that has been collected from the environment. So small devices are devices and the devices and equipment like semiconductor chip. The different microchips and also sensors are getting what? Smaller and smaller these days. Maali jechuun kuni devices are able to become small and small, which are very intelligent enough. Very intelligent enough. Maalinni device kuni device to baay'ee xixiqqaa. Even hanga microscope ilaaluutti device ota deema. Fakkeenyaaf device garaagaraa artificial intelligence karaa akka kiniinii dhalli namaa liqimsee baakteeriyoota dhukkuboota garaagaraa qaama keenya kana keessaa haqee baasee boodarra immoo karaa nama hin humne technology baay'ee danda'u. Just we will talk this is also in a nanotechnology. So in this intelligent IoT devices, its devices are becoming small and small, which are capable enough to collect data from environment, and also they are able to communicate with each others. So in IoT, these small built devices efficiently deliver precisions, precisions and also performance. Their precision, their accuracy, and their performance of this small device is very high, very high. It is fascinating or paves the way to think that devices so small can deliver so much and enhance our quality of the lives. For example, small sensors can tell us the quality of the air in one particular area and protecting us from the pollution. The very small number of the devices are telling what is going on in the environment is also tells us that the air pollution of our environment is, or in order to protect our environment from the pollution. Another one is about a dynamic nature of the Internet of the Things. Dynamic nature. This Internet of Things has a dynamic nature of the features. Their behavior is dynamic. They are not static. Their behaviors are not constant. It's dramatically changed based on the number of the stimulus found on their environments. For example, IoT system should be dynamic in order to change according to changing in their environment. If there is, for example, changing in their environments are there, their property should have to be changed. For example, if you consider the cooler machine, the cool machine, for example, if the temperature of the room is hot, they are able to normalize our temperatures. If the temperature will become cool, it is started to be hot or the environment. So in order to normalize our environment, temperature of the environment is. So our Internet of Things should have to be capable enough, such like a property, dynamic, and they are dynamic in nature. Let's understand, for example, if you have a smart air conditioner should be able to set the temperature of the room according to the prevalent weather conditions, using the data that has been gathered by temperature sensors. This air conditioner should be able to set the temperature of the room according to the prevalent weather condition. Fakkeenyaaf amma temperature naannoo keenyaa temperature ol ka'aa yoo ta'e temperature san akka dhala namaa tolu gadi bu'aa jechuudha. Degree normal. Yoonni immoo gadi bu'e ho'a dabaluudhaan ol nu kaasaa jechuudha. So dynamically environment naannoo keenya sana sensiroota environment temperature ittiin collect naannoo irraa godhan fayyadamuudhaan temperature naannoo keenya normalize gochuudha. Yoonni ol ka'e gadi buusuudha. Yoonni gadi bu'e ol kaasuudhaan. So dynamically environment keenya safe nu gochuu nu gargaara jechuudha. Another one is about the active engagement of the devices. So IoT connects its devices and products with across domain technologies like cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and blockchain technology. So what's an active engagement in IoT? What it means when we say active engagement? So active engagement between this product and technology is essential. So in order to gather and manipulate the data to make a business use. In order to make a business use, a very number of the devices that is engaged in IoT should have to be communicate parallelly or communicate actively. Active engagement, active participation, active communication, active decision-taking actions should have to be there among the Internet of the Things. So active engagement, active communication in jiraachuu qaba, active participation in jiraachuu qaba. Inni tokko data gaafa collect godhu, inni tokko data analyze godhu qaba. Inni tokko erga data analyze godhu immoo inni tokko immoo data display gochuu danda'u qaba. Active engagement, active communication should have to be. It's very important for the future of for the Internet of the Things. So in a normal way of life, there is no active engagement. Active engagement in jiru fakkeenyaaf balaa tiraafikaa yoo fudhattan. If we have a smart city, for example, once an accident is happened, the sensors around there should have to be able to notify that accident for the police. Then suddenly the police is able to be capable enough to reach that environment. If it is an Internet of the Things, we apply an Internet of Things in our city. But in a normal life, active engagement in Europe, balaan tiraafikaa asiin nama rukute, achi immoo balaa tiraafikaa sana yookiin bilbilanii neetworkiin hin bahu, yookiin immoo qaamaan dhaqanii himanii yookiin poolisoonni waa jiran. There is no active engagement in normal way of life. So in order to have such active engagement, active participation, active communication among the devices and among the human and devices and human, among the devices and devices, such like active engagement, active communication, active participation have to be. That's very important. Another one about the integrations, the issue of the integration. Issue of the integration. IoT integrates various cross-domain technologies. There is a number of the different number of technologies which collaboratively work together. For example, if you consider the cloud computing, artificial intelligence, the big data, deep learning, in order to provide users with wonderful experiences. So different number of technology cooperatively integrating with each other in IoT. So cloud computing, IoT is capable enough to communicate or integrate with cloud computing, with an artificial intelligence, with big data, and also with deep learning in order to provide, in order to get the algorithms which learn from the data. So Internet of Things is no more Internet of Things. It has in fact become Internet of the everything. Internet of the everything. So an entire ecosystem of the integrated devices perform with a great efficiency in order to enhance our quality of the living. So integration jechuun kun waan biraati. Fakkeenyaaf IoT kenna kan inni integrate kan inni collaborated ta'u. Fakkeenyaaf cloud computing wajjin, artificial intelligence wajjin, big data wajjin, deep learning wajjin integrated ta'ee dalagaa kenna dalagaa jechuudha. Fakkeenyaaf farm monitoring system gaafa hojjennu by using IoT cloud computing hin jiraachuu qaba. Data keenya isarratti cloud computing. Data cloud computing hin jiru sana fayyadamee maal godha farmii kana monitoring godha jechuudha. Device on nuti achi keessatti launch goonu. So this integration is very important and you should have to be furtherly read more than what I have included here. The another one, automation. Another one is an issue of the automations. Our Internet of Things work up on the issue of the automations. Automating every number of the actions or set action that we perform manually, from the manual it should have to be automated. Once that it is automated, everything should have to be autonomous. Every technology comes with a certain degree of automation in this Internet of Things. So in case of IoT case study, the theme is all about the automation. IoT was developed to make people's life and business easier with automation. It automates the data collected from the environment. Then after the data is collected from environment, the data is analyzed. After the data is analyzed, then finally the decision may be taken. The process is the process of automation. Data collection is real-time. The real-time data is collected. Then data is analyzed, and finally the feedback will be given. This process is the process of automation. The process of automating the work that we done manually by the Internet of the Things. Another one is the issue of the security. Security is one of the major concerns among the users of IoT. It's a very important issue when we consider in order to launch the Internet of the Things for one particular organizations or for one particular firms. Why? Because when we, for example, when we launch the IoT, maybe the company or the firm that may use that IoT may be it about the company which needs to be secured their data. They may have sensitive information, such like sensitive information may be hacked by the hackers. So such like confidential information should have to be taken into considerations. So IoT system carry and they store a lot of sensitive information. So the security of these devices and data flowing between them should be given the foremost priority. When we launch an Internet of Things for one particular organization, we should have to consider our security. We should have to be capable enough to protect the confidential information or sensitive information for one particular organization from the third party, from unauthorized accessors, from unauthorized users, unless such like as a number of interconnected devices increases in IoT, it may pave the way for the hackers in order to hack the data, such like sensitive information. This is one of the great disadvantage of having the Internet of Things in one party for one particular organizations. Yeah, security gaafa jennu wantoonni gaafa hojjennu IoT device dhaabbata tokkoof gaafa launch gochuu barbaadnu security dhimma nageenya dhimma xiyyeeffannaa guddaa barbaada. Maaliif organization sana keessa sensitive information jiraachuu danda'a yookaan confidential information hide ta'uu qabu. Kana hatamuu hin qabne. Yoo hatame immoo dhaabbata sana irratti dhiibbaa guddaa kan geessisuu danda'u. So information akkasii sanaaf xiyyeeffannaan guddaa priority guddaan kennamee fi launch gochuu danda'u sarara jiraata. Our IoT devices when achi keessatti launch ta'uu deeman sun they should have to be capable enough to protect the security of one particular, the security or sensitivity of the information, and they should have to be capable enough to protect the confidential information of one particular organizations. Or maybe failing to do such like security protections may lead our organization for other problems, which may become the disadvantage. The organization. Another one is endpoint management. So our devices which will participate in Internet of Things should have to be managed by using end management devices. If there is no end management devices, our IoT cannot be provide the expected advantages, expected purposes. So it is very, very, very important to have the endpoint management devices. Unless if there is no endpoint management devices, our Internet of Things cannot be managed properly. So well trained and carefully implemented IoT is an asset for the business world. So well implementation should have to be there with endpoint management. However, it is important to be endpoint management of IoT system, otherwise the whole system may collapse. So in order to avoid the whole system collapse of IoT, the information, the IoT should have to be managed capable enough by using the endpoint management device. There are different number of endpoint management devices. If you consider our mobile phones, our desktops, our laptops, they are endpoint management devices. Just we can able to be managed the whole systems by using the endpoint devices. For example, let us say your smart fridge. Suppose that you have a fridge in your home, which is a smart fridge, which is a smart fridge, which is capable enough to communicate within your, for example, your laptop is, and fridge orders. It may order groceries to retailer when you are out of it, when you are out of the home. But if you are not at home for some days, it might lead for the wastage of the groceries and is failure of IoT. If the information is sent from the smart fridge order grocery to retailer, once the retailer replay that feedback for a smart fridge to be filled with a food, if you are not at a home, if you are not manage your smart fridge by using such like endpoint management, such a wastage of the groceries will be happen, and also it may be pave the way for the failure of the IoT. Therefore, endpoint management is necessary characteristics of the Internet of the Things. We should have to be manage our smart devices by using endpoint management. Endpoint management kun maaliif nu gargaara seetan? Smart device yoo qaban, smart device sana maalinni alarmii garagara kan nuti yoo argite, alarmii sana irratti hundoofne wantoota barbaachisaa hin dalagnu yoo ta'e maali miidhaa guddaadha jechuudha. Yookaan immoo kaayyoo eegameef sana galmaan gahuu hin danda'u. So kaayyoo eegame sana galmaan gahuudhaaf endpoint management devices should have to be there. We should have to be able to enough to manage our endpoint, the IoT devices by using this endpoint management. So if this is all about the features of IoT, what is IoT? What is the IoT, and how can we define the IoT? Okay, how can we define the IoT? And there are the different number of the definition has been given for this IoT from different number of organizations and from different number of the scholars. So IoT maalini akkamitti ilaala IoT akkamitti define godha fiicharoota jira hunda ilaalleera erga wantoonni akkas fiicharoota akkasii qabaate IoT fiicharoota akkasii qabaate IoT maalini. So the clear definition of the IoT has been given below from the different number of organizations according to the Internet Architecture Boards, according to IAB definition. IoT is networking of the smart objects. The network of the smart object, this organization defined as the IoT as networking of the smart objects, meaning a huge number of the devices intelligently communicating in the presence of the Internet protocol that cannot be directly operated by the human being but exist as a components of the buildings, vehicles, or the environment. This is the definition of the IoT, which is given by this IAB, Internet Architecture Boards. The Internet Architecture Boards define the IoT in such a way. They define it as the networking of the smart device objects, meaning a huge number of devices intelligently communicating in the presence of the Internet protocol that cannot be directly operated by human beings, but exist as a component in buildings, vehicles, or environment. This is the clear definition of IoT given by this organization. Warri kun akkasitti hiikee jiru. Network of smart object kana jechuun number of devices intelligently communicate in the presence of internet protocol in bakka jirutti which cannot be directly operated by the human being. Wanti kallattiidhaan kan dhalli namaa operate gochuu hin dandeenye but exist as a component akka component itti dhaabbata garagaraa jechuun building garagaraa keessatti vehicle garagaraa keessatti environment garagaraa jiraachuu kan danda'u jedhanii bifa kana define godhaneera. Dhaabbannoonni definition garagaraa kennameera IoT dhaaf mee definition kanneen cufasaa hamma dandeenye tokko ni ilaalla jechuudha. So what about the IoT according to the Internet Engineering Task Force? According to the Internet Engineering Task Force, according to this Internet Engineering Task Force organizations, they are able to define the IoT in such a way. IoT is, or yes, we can say, Internet of Things is networking of the smart objects, in which smart objects have some constraints such as limited bandwidth, power, processing capability for achieving interoperability among the objects. This is the definition given for the IoT by used by Internet Engineering Task Force. Isa akkamitti define godhan? Internet Engineering Task Force kun IoT akkamitti define godhan? It's a network of the smart object. Network smart object in which smart object on kunin constraintoota akka maali qabaatan jedhan. Bandwidth qabayan, limited bandwidth, power qabayan, processing accessibility qabayan for achieving interoperability among the smart objects. Smart object on kun wali isaaniiti wali gal interoperability wali wajjin ta'uudhaan kan hojjetan jedhanii define godhan. This is the definition that has been given by the Internet Engineering Task Force for IoT. What about IEEE? How IEEE define the IoT? IEEE define the IoT as it's a framework. They are defined as a framework of all things that have representation in the presence of the internet, in which all way that new application and services enable interaction in the physical and virtual world in the form of machine-to-machine communication in the cloud. The Internet of Things are the IEEE are capable enough to define the IoT in such a way. Another one is, what about according to the definition of the Oxford Dictionary? According to the definition of the Oxford, IoT is the interaction of everyday objects, computing devices through the internet that enable the sending and receiving of the useful data. Let me define what IoT interaction of everyday objects, computing devices. Communication in guyyaa cufaa kan computing with device on karaa internet itiin the enable to sending and receiving of wal data wal ergaa walirraa fudhata warra waliin interact with computing device on guyyaatti interaction isaanii karaa internet fayyadamanii data walii erguudhaan walirraa fudhachuudhaan kan geggeessan objectoon akkasii IoT of things jechuun ni dandeenya jedha. Oxford Dictionary. The Oxford Dictionary defines the IoT in such a way. The interaction of the everyday objects computing devices through the internet that enables the sending and receiving of the useful data. So the term Internet of the Things, the term Internet of Things, according to the 2020, according to the 2020 conceptual framework, is expressed through simple formulas. Simple formulas. For according to the 2020 conceptual framework, they are able to define the IoT as in such a way. IoT is equals to means IoT is a combination of the services, combination of the data, combination of the networks, and a combination of the sensors. But this organization, or according to the 2020 conceptual framework, IoT is a combination of services plus data plus network and plus sensors. Akkanatti conceptual framework 2020 jedhamu kun IoT akkanatti define godha. IoT tajaajila data network fi sensorota jedhee gaafa akkanatti define godhu, but waan tokko asirraa argata. I got something which is missing here. Why smart devices is omitted here? Without smart devices, there is no service. If there is even services, data, network, sensors, there is no communication. Means there is no end decisions. So they may be considered this as I don't know how they are considered this. Maybe they may be considered these services as smart objects. So, but it is important if it is defined in such a way. I have defined the Internet of Things. This is my definition that I have been given by modifying this. Internet of the Things is a combination of smart devices and smart services and smart in the data, network, and the sensors. Smart devices, if smart devices are capable to provide smart services by using the data from the environment, by communicating, by using the network, by collecting the data from the environment. This is a wonderful definition I given by modifying the definition of 2020 conceptual framework given for the IoT. What IoT 2020 conceptual framework in akkanatti gaafa define godhan ani immoo gama kiyyaan akkana smart device is omitted. So a smart device should have to be included here. This is the definition that I have given for this IoT by modifying the definition of 2020 conceptual framework. IoT, according to the Obsa's definition, according to the modified definition of 2020 conceptual framework, IoT is a combination of the smart devices, combination of services, combination of the data, combination of network, and combination of the sensors. This is a wonderful definition I have given for the Internet of Things. So, generally of the speaking, the Internet of Things is the framework of physical objects or things embedded with electronics, embedded with software, embedded with sensors, network connectivity, and which enables these objects to collect and exchange data. Walumaa galatti maalin Internet of Things network of physical objects, network physical object yookiin things embedded kan electronics of keessaa qaban, software, intelligent software, sensors of keessaa qaban, network connectivity qabanuu fi which enables these objects to collect and exchange data. Data exchange fi collective exchange gochuudhaaf kan isaan gargaaran akkasitti define godhan. The general definition, you should have to be bear in your mind the definition, the general definition, or the last definition that has been included here, especially if you are a freshman student for your final examination, you may be defined in such a way. It's a network of the physical objects or things which is embedded together with electronics and softwares, intelligent software, sensors, network connectivity, which enables these objects to collect and exchange data. Especially network connectivity is paves the way or enables the objects in order to collect and exchange data among themselves. Or just we can say IoT is a network of devices that can sense, accumulate, and transfer the data over the internet without human intervention. IoT network of the devices, network of the devices that can sense, accumulate, transfer the data over the internet without human interventions in order to take the action or to take the decision. This is the definitions of the IoT, another definition of the IoT. So it is also has found its application. The Internet of Things has found its application in several areas. So this Internet of Things has a different application area. We will see in other tutorial furtherly, but it may be connected to the industry in smart city. In order to have smart city, for having smart home, to have smart energy, for connected car, for smart agriculture, in order to monitor our agriculture, connected with building, connected pampas, and health care, in logistics, and among other domains. This Internet of Things has a different application areas which we will see in next tutorial. IoT system allow users in order to achieve deeper automation, analysis, and integration within the IoT system. So it utilizes existing and emerging. So currently maybe this Internet of Things utilizes the existing technology or emerging technology or the technology which will be expected within coming 5 to 10 years for the sensing, for the networking, or for in robotics. In order to have such like technology, these IoT uses may be currently existing technology, or they are expected to use the technology that will be expected within coming 5 to 10 years. This is the graphical demonstration of the Internet of Things. This is the Internet, and these are the smart devices. Those are the smart devices. These are the smart devices. These are smart devices. So by connecting those smart devices, by using this Internet of Things, by use internet as a communication channel, so these smart devices are capable to enough to sense their environment by using a different number of sensors. Then finally, they may take the decision according to the advantage they have been intended for, developed for. The other one is about the history of IoT. So the concept of this history of the IoT, the Internet of Things as a concept was not officially named until the 1999. One of the first example of the Internet of Things is from the early 1980, was a Coca-Cola machine. This Coca-Cola machine located at a Carnegie Mellon University. These local programmers would connect by the internet to the refrigerator appearance and check to see if there was a drink available, if it was cold or before making a trip. Malini jar barakuma kula sagal dura yan Internet of Things kun hin turre jechuudha. So yan Internet of Things ka inni itti burquu eegale bara 1980 keessa Coca-Cola maashinii kan University Carnegie Mellon University keessatti argamu local programmonni maal godhani maashinii sana internetii fayyadamanii refrigerator appliance isaanii connect godhan. Erga connect godhanii maal godhani isaanii drinking wani namni dhugu. Akka refrigerator keessa jiru fi hin jirre akka qabbanoo reefu hin qabbanai waan akkasiitiif itti fayyadamaa turanii jechuudha. So yan Internet of Things achirraa ka'e maddee jechuudha. But the year of 2013 bara 2019 irratti the Internet of Things had evolved into the system using multiple technologies. Bara 2013 Internet of Things maal jedhe evolved into the system using multiple technologies. Multiple technology gara fayyadamuudha. Ranging from the internet internet to wireless communication, and also from micro electromechanical system to embedded system. The traditional field of automation, including the automation of building and homes, wireless sensor networks, GPS, control systems, and other all support of IoT. This is Kevin Ashton, the father of the IoT. He is a UK man, United Kingdom man, is the one who is capable enough to come up with the idea of the Internet of the Things. Internet of the Things. So, in his belief, he says information is a great way to reduce waste and increase efficiency, and that is really what the Internet of Things provides. Kevin Ashton coined Internet of Things. He is considered as the father of the IoT, who is capable to come up with the idea of the Internet of Things in 1999 in his speech. He is the executive director of the Auto Lab at MIT University, was the first to describe Internet of Things during in his 1999 public speech. He stated that the radio frequency identification was the prerequisite for the Internet of the Things jedheen radio frequency wanta Internet of Things kanneen qabaachuu qabu barbaachisa. Kana jechuun radio frequency identification kun deviceotiin kan keenya akka isaan walii communicate godhan kan isaan gargaaru kan nama internetii fayyadamnu kana jechuudha. So he concluded if all devices were tagged, computers could manage, track and inventory them jedha. Inventory control is one of the more obvious advantage of the Internet of Things. So Kevin Ashton is the one who is proposed the idea of the Internet of the Things during in his speech in 1999. The other one is an advantage of IoT. What are the advantages? There are the huge number of advantages that what I have included, or what it has been included on the module that has been prepared by Addis Ababa Science and Addis Ababa University, Adama Science and Technology, and Barder University is this one. The first one is improved customer engagement. So in order to improve the participation of among the customer, to have customer engagement, customer can akasa will engage them, akasa actively participate, actively communicate them, which should have Internet of Things, they play important role. The second one is technology optimization. Technology optimized by using the inefficient way of the currently existing technology in order to optimize it for the sake of technology optimization, for the same technologies and data which improve the customer experience, also improve device use and add in more potential improvements to the technology. Another one is about for the sake of reducing waste. For the waste reduction, such the Internet of Things are the play the fundamental role. Reduce waste. For example, if we have a smart factory which produces the food for one particular community, if they have the good sensors and a good waste detector, if the food which will going to if the system sees the food which will going to be waste expired in the factory, such factory automatically inform the manager or the operators in order to reduce the food waste. So in order to manage such like wastage, so having the Internet of Things is a very, very important. The another one is the data collection. So modern data collection suffers from its limitation and it is designed for massive use. So in order to enhance data collection, in order to collect the data properly from the environment with expected objectives, so this Internet of Things are playing the fundamental roles. What about the disadvantage of having Internet of Things? Here there are a lot number of disadvantages of the Internet of Things. The first number, as a number of internet connected devices, for example, as a number of interconnected number of devices increases, more information is shared between the devices. Look, more information is shared between the devices, and also the potential that hacker could steal confidential information also increases. As a result of the interconnected number of devices increases, then the communication of the information also increases among the devices. Such like the interconnection of the devices increase within the information flow, it may be such like confidential information. If you have a confidential information for an organization, it may be revealed for the hackers. As a number of interconnected increases and more information is shared between devices, and also which may be paves the way for the hackers in order to hack confidential information for one particular organization. The second one, if there is a bug in the system, if there is an error within a one system, it is likely that a very connected, look, a very connected devices will become corrupted. If the wrong data is collected from the environment by corrupted sensor, then each and every systems will be corrupted because that the data that has been collected by the corrupted sensors will be analyzed incorrectly, and finally the wrong decision will be taken by wrongly analyzed data. Since the third one, since there is no international standard for compatibility of the IoT, different number of organizations may produce different number of the devices, which have no international standard compatibility. So such like devices may be difficult in order to communicate with each other. That the first one is enterprises may eventually have to deal with massive numbers, maybe even millions of IoT devices, and collecting and managing the data from all those devices will be challenging. This is some disadvantages of IoT, and furtherly, as a student, you should have to be capable enough to furtherly browse it. So why IoT? Why IoT? Why we needed to launch the IoT? In order for the dynamic control of the industry in daily life. So in order to control our lives dynamically and of the industry, and in order to control our life, it's important to have the IoT to improve the resource utilization ratio. In order to reduce our resources in a proper way or in improved way, we should have to use IoT. Using IoT is very important. There's another one is integrating human society and the physical systems in order to connect, or in order to integrate, or in order to make the communication between the human and the source, human beings and the devices. Having such like smart devices is very important for flexible configurations, acts as technological interpreters, and universal networking are some important points why we should have to have the Internet of Things. This brings us to the end of our lesson. Thank you guys. I like you. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment under this video, and also please share, subscribe, and don't hesitate to have to inform me if you have questions. I love you. Bye bye. See you next.